Good evening, good evening, good evening. All right, well, I'm fashionably late this evening for number 15 of Let Us Attend from Gospel of Violence podcast. Welcome you all who are here. And today is not going to be a regular Let Us Attend. For one, this is, for us, this is a Holy Week. So each day we have a liturgy. And that's one of the reasons why I'm fashionably late today. We had liturgy at our church, and this is, of course, leading up to Friday, and then Pascha, otherwise known as Easter, on Saturday. So today, I just kind of wanted to share and talk a little bit about certain struggles, about certain, I guess you can even say amount of suffering that we as those who are possibly involved with training, preparing for violence, and in general as humans that we go. And I noticed in the last couple of years, for me personally, that during the Lent prior to Pascha, and then especially during the Holy Week, the last week before the Easter, the certain things seem to amplify. Uh, and I guess to some degree, maybe it can be written off to something like, well, I've been to some degree limiting myself as far as food and things of that nature. But I don't believe that that's what this is. Um, so we're gonna talk about that, but first let me just cover a couple of things. As it has been the case, our sponsor today, one of the sponsors, is Ammo Supply Warehouse. For the purveyors of fine freedom seats, that is the place. That is where you want to go. And I highly recommend them. Good people. Butch is a dear friend of mine, brother, student. Um, They do have a lot of good product. They do provide exceptional service. Just this past week, I received 2 boxes that brought me a lot of joy with some goodies from Ammo Supply Warehouse. So again, that's definitely someone that I recommend very, very highly. Not just because they are our sponsors, but again, which is good people, and Ammo Supply Warehouse is a great place to get your stuff from. A few little announcements before we move on. As far as upcoming classes, April 26, 27, right here at Fort Honey Badger, we have Shooter Fighter Matrix 2, which is an advanced class in Shooter Fighter Matrix series. We still have spots, so those of you who are interested, especially if you have taken Shooter Fighter Matrix 1 before, I would highly, highly recommend you register for this class. This is one of the only 2 Shooter Fighter Matrix I will be teaching in 2025. The other one will also be here, I believe, in Actually, let me check so I don't lie to you. And let me see here. November 6th and 7th. That's going to be next Shooter Fighter Matrix 2, and it's going to be right here at Fort the Honey Badger. And I believe that one is on Thursday and Friday, November 6th and 7th, because then November 8th and 9th, which is Saturday, Sunday, we're going to have Shooter Fighter Matrix 2.5, which is force on force applications of Shooter Fighter Matrix. So there it is. As far as the Shooter Fighter Matrix 2 and then 2.5, these are your opportunities coming up here at the end of April 26th, 27th, or then later in the year, November 6th and 7th. Both of these classes will be taught here at Fort Honey Badger. The other things coming up, and this is something that I haven't announced yet, but there it goes. So I haven't determined the dates yet, but starting next month, locally here, thanks to one of local students who joined us fairly recently and has taken a few classes already here, and he does have a serious background. Some of you have met him. I'm talking about Philip, and he very graciously will allow me to use his building that he has in Henderson, and it's a great facility. I went and took a look at it a couple of days ago. It's concrete floor. Uh, it has restrooms. It has enough space, and it's air conditioned. So there's that for those days when it's hot, and obviously it has a roof for those days when it's wet. So once a month, starting next month, at Phil's place in Henderson, which is only a 20-minute drive from here, from Fort Honey Badger, we will start doing Saturday Systema classes. And so I think that we're going to start doing it. We'll set the start time at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. We'll probably go until about 2 p.m. Again, we're going to do it once a month. And then from 2 to 4, I will leave that time open for private classes for people who want to do a little bit deeper personal work. I know for some of you it might be a little bit surprised because, oh, Sonny's going to start teaching Systema. Well, as far as Systema goes, so this past week, I had a very pleasant moment, very pleasant surprise, very pleasant occurrence that happened. I received a call from my hands down most influential teacher in my story along my path, Vladimir Vasilyev. We haven't spoken, we haven't interacted for well over 10 years. I received a call, I had a good long conversation with Vladimir and his wife, Valerie. And, I'm not necessarily gonna, disclose here or tell stories what the conversation was about, but it was a great conversation. Without knowing it, I needed it, and as one of the outcomes of that conversation, I will start teaching Systema classes under the name of Systema. And again, for now, we're going to do it once a month on Saturdays. In the next couple of days, I will announce the dates. And again, it's going to be Saturdays from 9 to 2 p.m. That way, people that want to drive up from either from Dallas or Shreveport or Austin or Houston or whatever, we're going to, it's going to be worthwhile because you're going to get good 5 hours of training once a month on Saturdays. And eventually we'll see how that turns out, what kind of turn up as far as people coming in we'll have. We'll see if we'll make it more regular, maybe more often. If we get more local people, maybe I'll make it something that, if Phil is okay with that, maybe we'll make it something that's going to be once a week. Time will show. But anyway, on another great note, haven't decided yet because during the summer, as you know, here it's pretty warm here at Fort Honey Badger. But with that facility, again, thanks to Phil being made available to us, I believe that somewhere June, July, I may schedule a couple weekend seminars at that place as far as systemic combatives, possibly conditioning. So keep your eyes open. All those announcements will come out relatively soon once we sort out the calendar and all the other things that need to be sorted out. And that's that. As far as other things coming up, so July and August. In July, I'm going to be teaching July 22nd, no, July 21st, 22nd, I believe, that weekend. I will be teaching in New London, Ohio. It's going to be in-depth class, Shooter Fighter Matrix 2.5 Deep Penetration, DP. Those of you who have run 2.5 drill, we basically are going to be covering the work around 3 columns. That difficult work when you have to do a lot of transitions and all the other things happening there relatively close to targets, and you have to do it quick and you have to move the whole time. So that's going to be 2 days dedicated to that. And again, that is happening in, it's actually July 26th, 27th. So that's July 26th, 27th in New London, Ohio. Those of you from Midwest or around there, register. It's up on my website, sonnypuzikas.com. And after that, I'm going to Pennsylvania, where on July 29th, 31st, it's a 3-day event. I'm teaching Violence Uncensored 1, which is Force on Force class in Scranton, Pennsylvania. That class will fill up because we do have our Bratva chapter there over in eastern Pennsylvania. I spoke to some of them today, so don't sleep too long on that class. And then August 2nd, 3rd, I will be presenting and teaching at Tremis Dynamics annual muster. This year, this is the first time that Tremis Muster will be a 2-day event. Again, that's August 2nd, 3rd. You can go to tremisdynamics.com, check it out. There's going to be a whole lot of instructors doing presentations, lectures, classes, and segments, teaching segments. And then immediately after that, August 4th and 5th, I will be teaching AK Knowledge 1 rifle class in Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania. That is also up on my website. Then in September, we have a class here at Fort Honey Badger, Escapology. Depending on the weather, if it's super hot, we may be teaching that class at Phil's facility in Henderson, but those who register will know. Then September 28th, 29th, I'm going to be in Corbin, Kentucky, teaching at Combat Arts Summit. So you can go to combatarts.com and check out their website, contact Andrew, sign up for it. Again, there's going to be a whole bunch of instructors teaching different blocks. It's a 2-day event with some classes prior and after the weekend event. The next weekend after that, October 5th and 6th, I'm going to be at Self-Reliance Festival in Camden, Tennessee. This year it's not going to be at SOE compound. It's actually going to be at the marina nearby. And so you can go to Self-Reliance Festival, to their social media or their website and sign up for that. Then October 10th, 12th, we have Bratva Gathering number 6. Those of you who don't know, Bratva Gathering is invitation only. And then October 14 to 19, it's a 6-day class to the hilt, 2025. 3 topics, 2 days each. We're going to go deep, we're going to go hard, and it's going to hurt. And then we have Impactology, October 25th, 26th, November 1st, 2nd, Longevity in Motion, Bill Paravano, my dear friend, fellow Sistema instructor. He will be here. Again, that's November 1st and 2nd of 2025. Longevity in Motion, that class is also on my website. As far as how much the tickets, again, everything you can find on the website. And then the other events I already told you. November, we have quite a few classes. And then to end the year, December 6th through 8th, we have Bratva Gathering 7. And it's invite only, and it coincides with my 56th birthday. So we're going to have pain, beatdowns, learning, training, and probably some partying. So that's for those of you who are in Bratva group. Bratva Gathering 7 will be December 6th through 8th. All right. So let's move on. Today I'm not going to be covering any training topics or books or anything else like that. I just wanted to talk about, because it's fitting for this time of the year and what's going on, is, the little battles that we fight with ourselves. And I don't know about you guys, but, there's so many of them. And when you start paying attention, not only to what it is, but how it starts, what triggers certain things, it becomes really interesting. Again, like in my case, for me personally, last few days I've been quite, I guess you can say, irritable, and so on, and not just with physically with people around me, but sometimes it's a message, sometimes it's a phone call, something, people ask something, people send you something, and I find myself, in my head going, and it's interesting because generally, like looking at it, I go like, really, there's no reason to react that way, to feel that way, besides me being irritable. And that's that internal tension that again, I'm not necessarily going to try to diagnose what's happening, why it's happening, how it materializes. But it is an interesting battle. It is an interesting battle because you go like, it's not a big deal. Just wave your hand. It's not. In the big picture, it's not a big deal, but it does affect things and it does shape things. It shapes not only your day, it shapes the day of people around you. It shapes, partially, it may shape people, the day of the people that you may respond with certain level of irritability or I wouldn't say aggression, but being a little bit more edgy. And the other day, I was participating in this little Zoom class where some people were asking, again, it was Zoom class by Vladimir, and some people were asking about, talking about And again, it's the word that's often misunderstood, relaxation. And as I mentioned earlier, I haven't interacted with Vladimir. I haven't seen him in person in well over 10 years. So even watching him live uh, through Zoom, uh, it was actually pretty amazing to see. Like when you don't see someone's kid, especially when they little for 6 months, and you go like, "Wow, look at that kid! How much he has grown." When you watch that kid every day, because it's your kid or whatnot, you may not notice it because it's daily. Things are changing in front of your eyes, but it's not like time frames are missing, right? And Vladimir is certainly not a kid. Vladimir is 10 years my senior, so he's 65 right now. I'm 55. Uh, but after all these years of not having direct interactions with Vladimir, not attending any of his classes or whatnot, it was pretty amazing for me to watch. And he was sitting in the chair. He was talking. There was no there was no demonstrations of some incredible fighting skills or in-depth explanations of deep punches or whatnot. Vlad was just sitting there and talking. But I've been in the presence of people before that exude that incredible calmness that you can almost you feel it whether you are in person or even you in some kind of a virtual environment, possibly thousands of miles away. The way they speak, the tone of voice, the expression, the words chosen. It's incredible feeling of not just peacefulness, but power. I know for some of you it's going to sound very obscure and maybe even goofy. I really don't care what people think about it. I'm just telling you my experience with what I and what I observed that in those 10 plus years that I haven't seen Vlad, Vladimir was always to me like watching him not just work but having had many interactions with him, on the personal level where we would just sit and talk and not always about training, sometimes about other things. Vlad was always to me like this example of calmness and even keel. You know, Vlad was always very hard to kind of bump him up to some kind of a little bit more emotional or angrier response. He always had great sense of humor, and he's great at. His jokes are not like British jokes, but it takes a little bit of chewing to be able to get him. But he has great sense of humor. But whether he's joking or he's serious or he's talking about, you know, it's just I don't know. It's really hard to find words how to explain it. But there's, for the lack of better term, I'll use it as much as a cliche it is. Um, Inner calm, and it's powerful. It's very very powerful. People sometimes ask questions. And even in asking questions, sometimes people, certain amount of pride comes out because even within that question, there's like a hidden message. It's almost like they're prodding you to say something that whether going to uplift them or, like, oh yeah, I remember when you did that. Yeah, you're right. Something along those lines. And sometimes those questions come through. And instead of responding, just Vlad has a way about it that he doesn't put the person down, the one that asked that question with kind of expectation of being elevated or whatnot to the answer, but the way he responds and the way he says, his demeanor, his facial expressions, the words chosen, it kind of puts everything in its place, if you know what I'm saying. and it's really interesting. It's like watching, how would I say it, a person who has only played checkers in his life, and he watches a grandmaster of chess doing some things. You kind of go like, I know he's winning, I have no idea how. And again, this is not per se some kind of a verbal manipulative, something pulled from the intelligence community kind of skills of how to, convince people to do certain things, to say certain things, to see things certain way. It's more than that. It really is more than that. And I don't like to use words as inspirational, but seeing Vladimir after again, well over 10 years, actually more like 12 years, uh, it was the difference between Vlad that I remember from those 12 years ago and Vladimir that I saw just a few days ago is profound. And even back then, 12 years ago, by any means, Vlad was way, way up there as far as his skills, his abilities, his ability to project the message and maintain that very calm demeanor about him that feels very powerful without that power being projected. You know what I mean? It's like he's not trying to be cool. He's not trying to be short with his words. He's not trying to be a man of few words. But it's very powerful the way things are being presented. You know. And I was thinking about it. And today during the sermon, Father Barry was talking about. It's funny. He was talking about us talking less. And as an instructor, as a coach, as a mentor to other people, you find yourself in an interesting place because sometimes, and the answer is no, and sometimes it's like you feel like you have a lot to say, right? And when you start saying that, it's almost like this feeling that you start enjoying listening to yourself speak, as if your own wisdom or what you think is wisdom uh, it gives a boost to your ego. You know, you start talking to a person who asks a question, who needs guidance, who you need to coach to help him along his way, and sometimes you kind of go like, I'm not sure that message got through, right? I was thinking about it, and that's the interesting struggle because sometimes that message didn't get through because maybe it was me who overloaded that message with too many words. Because I happen to enjoy listening to myself saying all those words, watching the reaction on people's faces where they go, "Wow, oh, damn, that's deep." I mean, there's this certain level of satisfaction that one gets when you see that what you have to say. And I'm not saying that any of that is wrong as far as the material presented, as far as what what how you answer the question, how you explain certain topic that someone may have asked you about. But I'm really thinking about how even in the noblest, really noble ways, when you're trying to to really, answer someone's question, help somebody along, explain something. How quickly even just a little dash of pride can turn it into shit. You know, and I think, one of the struggles there is to be able to detect that that pride rearing its head within your own brain when you start very hard, you kind of concealing it with a lot of right answers or whatnot, but because you know how unusual those answers are, maybe sometimes you even know that they may be, simply by the virtue of how a person asked the question, you go like, well, I know he hasn't thought about that, right? And you almost like give yourself credit. You go like, but I did. And within your answer, that although it may be concealed, but if you look at it closely enough, you'll find that that pride, that vanity, has entered into your orbit. And I'm really wondering how much negative it does, even in you trying to be noble in the sense that you're trying to help people. You're trying to, again, answer their questions, address the issues that they may have, whether it's training or whatever else it might be. So this is something that I'm going to have to do some serious self-reflection. And Tom Hollaby, when you say, is it pride or arrogance? There is no arrogance without pride. There can be no arrogance without pride. It starts with pride. Now, some people may not detect it that it is arrogance because you are not so, to speak, overt about your being prideful in what you say about how much you know or whatnot. But there can be no arrogance without pride. So, in the beginning of it all, it's pride. So, that's that. Or at least that's what I think, because I don't know it all. And again, that's something I'm going to have to do some moving of some plates within my own dome to address that. What is the point without a little pride? Separate and very deep question. And sometimes very little pride is actually worse than uncontrolled, unknowingly expressed pride. But again, that's something that we may have to discuss separately, not necessary in this medium. And, so I was thinking how all of that relates to, let's say, training in combatives. And that includes firearms training, that includes all of the things that we do in preparing for violence. And as we're finishing our editing on the book and doing some changes, some additions to things, sometimes as I'm looking for the ways to express things, as I'm looking for the lack of a better term, for like external little flash, external little trigger to be able to explain something. I've been looking at a number of things that come to my feed in social media or whatnot, and in the past 2 weeks or so, there was just overwhelming amount coming from, how would I say, certain directions of, let's say, combative training, right? So I've seen a lot of things that coming from, let's say, Krav Maga circles. When I'm watching and some people doing Krav Maga, some people doing Haganah, some people doing Kalas, there's many subsystems, and I don't follow any of that. I don't know the internal politics of Krav Maga world. I know they exist. For damn sure they exist. But that's not about any of that. I was watching the work. I was watching the work, and what was amazing was how telling that work is, how much it is a fear reactivity based work. And it's not just work, but when you look at some of the gentlemen that were doing the work, and I'm not saying that they suck, don't take it like this is some kind of critique. This is my observation on what I referred to earlier about that inner equilibrium, that inner peace, that inner strength, that with some people you just kind of go like, dude, there's something about this man right there that is just, I don't know what it is, but it's different, right? So anyway, I'm looking at a lot of these gentlemen, and it's not just Krav Maga. There were some people from Filipino martial arts. There were some people from Silat community. There's a lot of different representations, right? And I'm watching and I'm looking at these very fear reactive, very broken, very sudden movements, and they like artificially connected into these chain of events, techniques per se, right? But you can't help when you watch and you go like, the slightest change in it breaks it. Not only breaks it, literally blows it up. There's nothing left to work from. And it's kind of disturbing. Once you start understanding a little bit deeper the principle based work, where it comes from, what is the difference between having skills, techniques, tricks versus developing attributes? Okay, and then you start going deeper into developing attributes that go beyond just physical attributes, such as your physical capabilities, physical conditioning, physical strength. You're getting into biomechanical attributes. How do you move your hand? How does your hand move towards something? How do you raise your finger? How do you point your finger? Is your movement calibrated? Is your movement with intent, or is your movement with purpose? Or at the high level of work, you do have what we can call a zero level movement, which is, it's almost magical if you ask me to use some kind of a definition for it, but it's very real at the same time. And by the way, not intended as a commercial plug, but actually, Bratva Gathering number 7, which will be happening again December 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2025, is called Visible But Stealthy. That's going to be 3 days of work on this, on what I'm talking about right now. So those of you in Bratva, you will be getting the invites, not because it's my birthday weekend, but because of the work. Don't miss it. My birthday, I don't intend to celebrate it because I'm freaking 56. There's not much to celebrate there, all right, other than I made it, all right? So, and, sometimes you kind of go like, what is the struggle for dudes, for martial artists, from those who consider themselves or even announce themselves to be students of violence? What is the struggle to go deeper? What is the struggle to be less flashy, less showman-like, and to actually go like, you know what, maybe I reached a certain level. I can do this, that, this elbow, that elbow. Okay, fine, cool, sexy, everybody loves it. Ooh, you're so violent, you're so scary, right? Is that the end? Is that the limit of your capabilities? The problem with us, those of us who teach, is that if we start getting pretty steady, positive response from those we teach, there's a danger there for us to become stagnant because there's a level of satisfaction. You go like, people digging my shit, you know, people are digging this. And although you go like, there's more where that came from, and we show you new things, but it's not new things. It's the same. It's the same. You bend it here, you broke it there a little bit, you polished there, you hit something there, but it's the same. Okay, it's really not evolutionary. It's really not going deeper to the levels that are they take you to the different performance levels. And I think the struggle is twofold. One, as far as the work itself, that work requires fanaticism. And when I say fanaticism, not fanaticism towards the system or fanaticism towards certain principles or certain whatever, you know, let's call them dogmas of the work, right? No, fanatical dedication to pay attention and be very, very disciplined in doing the work. You may not look like you're working hard. It's not the point. The external expression of hard work a lot of times is meant exactly for, as it implies, for those outside to see how hard you work. And then give you a little applause and nod their heads, go like, man, you hardcore dude. No. This work is different. It's in here, and again, having, you know, with me not talking, not interacting with Vladimir Vasiliev for close to 12 years, I believe, it was interesting listening to him talking about push-ups, and you can say independently, having arrived at the very same, it's very similar. I'm not sure if it's the same, but it sounded like a very similar point of view. How important it is to slow down your suffering so you can observe it, but not observe it as you observing suffering and going, ooh, look, this is glorious suffering. No. Once you really observe it, it's no longer suffering. You realize that that suffering is your reaction to something that you haven't dissected. That's why it hurts, that's why you fail, that's why you stop, that's why you give up, right? So the suffering really is in being attentive to find your suck so you can fix it. To my mind, call me weird, it's kind of a worthy exercise. It's something that I would say that if you claim to be serious about your training, about evolving as a fighter, as a martial artist, as a protector, uh, I submit to you that's something that it's a worthwhile goal, right? But apparently, it's not very common because again, over the last couple of weeks, watching things and looking for some triggers, for some inspirations to put certain things into words and do some digesting and explaining certain things. Okay, what I observed is almost the opposite. It's simplification for the sake of simplicity. It's giving in and following a successful recipe of what already has impressed people, and you received copious amount of praises for your work, whether it's aggressiveness of that work or some kind of aesthetic qualities of that work or whatever the case might be, right? And watching that, I was thinking, you know coming back to your question, Tom, how little pride it takes to do huge amount of damage. Huge. And that damage may not be as far as what you have lost, right? As far as your abilities or whatnot. It's something you haven't had yet, so you really haven't lost it. But what you have lost is ability to see what it is there to find. In Christian terms, in religious terms, you kind of lost your ears. So it's going to be hard for you to hear the message, if you feel me. And whether you are a teacher, instructor, or you're a student, and whether you're a serious student or you're a dabbler, okay, that's something that probably would not be a bad idea for all of us to spend a little time and think about it. You know, when people say your skills don't stay stagnant, you either are working, training, and you improving, and if you don't, they don't stay where they at where you left off. They fall off the cliff. So that's one. But another factor, another metric I would suggest all of us, including myself, pay attention to is because of our pride, because of our arrogance and ignorance born from that arrogance, our losing our ability to see the path towards that which we don't know yet, which we haven't explored, haven't found yet. Our losing our sensors that will detect a direction for us. And my suspicion is that the answer is yes. But that's just a suspicion. Okay? I certainly have no, peer-reviewed proof, empirical evidence for that. I only have years and decades in the past that I've been dwelling into these things to lean on. And some incredible people, some incredible teachers that I've been blessed with to learn from, be exposed to, be in their presence, watching them, listening to them. And not just on the topics of how to hit deeper, how to hit harder. Because the reason why they do or were able to do or are able to do, those of them who are still around, so many incredible things. It's not just the technique, it's not just, like I was explaining in the previous seminar here, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, when we were discussing about, Clem, who's here. And some people go like, well, over the past 4 years, man, Clem's hits have become this or that, and Clem, control your pride here now, buddy. Uh, and I think some people were taken aback when I said this. I said 95% of that which Clem has developed is him just doing push-ups and planks. 5% is maybe total of, 12 hours that me and Clem spend discussing and me showing him few things as far as biomechanics. You can call techniques, you can say skills. The rest of it was his work, his quiet work in his room, whether it's on the concrete, on the carpet, who cares? Okay? But it's the work that some people in martial arts community and combatives community will say is irrelevant. That is the most relevant work. As I was telling folks lately that if you've been to my classes, that I can teach you how to fight relatively quickly. What takes long and what takes a whole lot of work is for you to become a fighter. Without you becoming a fighter, whatever I try to teach you, it sinks, like disappears. It does not stick. And that's one of the uncomfortable truths, and it's not sexy truth because it's hard to sell. Well, of course, Clem. Of course, there's still work to be done. You've been in this for the whole 4 years, brother. So be patient. That's one of those virtues we discussed on more than one occasion, right? Keep doing what you're doing, more, deeper, and you'll get there. And whichever way, if I can help, I will be there. So that is that. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any comments, by all means shoot. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting, if anyone will post something, I will kind of tell you what's going to be happening. Next Tuesday, I will have a special guest on my live stream. I will have Christian Green, a guy who owns Green Force Tactical, the company that makes the best holster in the damn business, at least appendix carry inside the waistband appendix carry, the best holster in the business, Berkut 2, designed by yours truly, together with Christian Green of Green Force Tactical. So next Tuesday, while I'll cover a couple other things, but we're gonna go in depth about the holsters, designs, materials, what to look for, what to avoid. We're not necessarily going to be slamming companies or pulling out names or whatnot. Again, the talk is going to be more technical as far as holster design, things to be aware of, what happens with certain materials under certain stress levels, and so on and so on. Christian is absolute encyclopedia in that. The guy has IQ that I cannot count that high. Very sharp, very smart, weird as fuck too, But that's one of the reasons why I love Christian so much. And no, me and Christian don't see on everything eye to eye. We have number of differences and different opinions about things in the world. It doesn't change the fact that, in my opinion, Christian makes incredible product. And not just my Berkut holsters. They make a number of different holsters. They make different product. So if you guys are into, finding out about holsters, about knowing about kydex and design features and such, all that geekiness, next Tuesday at 7:30, join us. I'm going to have Christian joining me live. Uh, so that's going to be that. And then the Tuesday after, so not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, I'm going to have another very special guest. And again, it's going to be not a regular schedule, so I may not have all of my rubrics like book of the week and such and such and such. I'm going to have my wife, Megan, as a guest. And we're going to be talking about a pretty hard topic. And that hard topic is the state of Israel, Judaism, Zionism, anti-Zionism, Semitism, anti-Semitism, and all those things. So that's not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, 2 weeks from today. Join us for that too. I can pretty much promise there's going to be some fireworks going on with that one. Both me and Megan have pretty strong opinions about the topic. There are a few things that we came across fairly recently, and we did some interesting digging and listening, and we're still doing that. So we do want to have an open discussion. Obviously, we'll express certain things. We'll present certain stuff out there, and we'll have a good open discussion. So again, I appreciate you all being here. Nobody seems to have any questions. I appreciate you all being here. Sorry I didn't address most of the comments, and I didn't even say hello to most of you guys, but I've seen it. I was just going about my thing and talking and yapping, talking and yapping. So I appreciate you all being here again. Join me next Tuesday at regular time, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I will have Christian Green of Green Force Tactical live, talking everything holsters and everything Kydex. And those of you who know, you know that Christian is involved also with a few other things. He made some space swords, he made some other things. So, he's out there. His IQ is so big, it's spilling the fuck out, and sometimes it gets pretty crazy, if you ask me. So, and again, and then Tuesday after that, I'll have my dear bride Megan here, and we're going to be talking Semitism, anti Semitism, and all that uncomfortable stuff. Meanwhile, those of you celebrate, those of you who will celebrate Easter this coming weekend, it's not yet time to say it, but we will say it on that day that Christ is risen. Clem asking what will be your first food and first drink for Pascha. So, here in our Western Rite Orthodox Church in Jacksonville, because we do have in our congregation significant percentage of elderly folks, and some of them it's a little bit harder for them to drive in the dark or late at night or whatnot. So our Pascha or Easter liturgy will be at 7 p.m., so it's probably going to last until 10 or so. We also have some people being received into a church and baptized. And after that, I'm going to drop Megan and Aria here at home, and then me and Nick and a few other fellows from our church will drive to Tyler to Eastern Rite Orthodox Church, which service there starts, I believe, at 11:30 p.m., and it goes about 3.5 hours. So we'll probably be done about 3 a.m. Sunday morning. And as far as my first food and first drink is going to be meat and vodka, Clem. I'm not going to drink much because I still have to drive everyone back, but I will have a shot of vodka and I will eat a lot of meat. And then Sunday morning we have 11 o'clock Easter service in our Western Rite Church here in Jacksonville. So we'll go there, and I'll be cooking a lot. I'll be preparing all kinds of things. And so by the time the Sunday is done, Easter Sunday is done, I'm probably going to be in a beef coma. I doubt I'm going to be in vodka coma, but certainly I will be in the beef coma. That it's pretty much given. Reverend Bart, yes, I know you remember that church in Tyler. So that is that. And again, I'll see you all guys next Tuesday, God willing. And those of you who do celebrate Easter, fast forward those words to Sunday morning. And that's the good news that our Redeemer Christ is risen. And you all have great rest of the Holy Week. The most amazing Easter that you can have. May God bless, and I hope to see you all next week. Sonny Puzikas here with Gospel of Violence Podcast. Peace.